here. They are the co-authors of the books on the mystery of the trees, as well as the CD, thanks Vanna, with the same title, and he'll talk about that no doubt. So I want to recognize them for really helping me and so many others here in the Colorado area learn about culturally modified trees, because if it wasn't for Dawn and Diane, I think my knowledge would have been that deep, and now it's only about that deep, but it's still a learning opportunity. One of the wonderful things that they have done with the Mysteries of the Trees, the documentary, is go around the country and interview different tribal leaders. And on the back of the CD jacket, you'll see there are 8 Native American elders, to include Dr. Jefferson, Southern Ute, and then a lady from the Northern Ute. So the Colorado trees that we're all familiar with, mostly the ponderosa and the Russelltown, are featured in their documentary. Well, what a rare opportunity to capture the history of the tribal leaders while we have them. And the CD's only been out, what?
Came out in February 2015.
2015, and out of the 8 elders, 3 have already walked on. So it's so important to have access to the elders while we have them. Most of the elders are in their 80s, maybe 90s, that know anything about the trees, and this was something that really hasn't been passed on to the next generation, and that's why this is so fragile and so important for us to focus on that. And the person who gets 99% of the credit for the video photography is Bob Wells, who's sitting here in the camera running. And Bob has flown up to help us again document some of the trees for another production that they're doing. While I have the podium, let me do some special introductions over here. Here, Mike. Let me get everybody's attention here, because I don't want to miss this. A lot of us appreciate every day, like me, Fox Run. And we bring our children, our grandchildren, our dogs, and I wish Jeremy was here, but he's probably out working. But I want to recognize these 3 park planners especially. This is Elaine Kleckner and Ross Williams and Jason Myers. Jason's got more certifications in forestry and things that I can even count in the alphabet. Ross is a GIS expert, IT expert, and so he's helping lead the project on the mapping. And then Elaine is really kind of the boss at the Park and Rec for the master planning, 25-year plan. And also descendant of the Cherokee, is that the name? Seneca, I apologize. So she has a little bit of the descendants there. But part of the benefit that we have, citizens that live in El Paso County, is the pleasure of using the privilege of the open space trails and parks, and the work that goes into not only just planning those out, but for the mitigation, the effort, the funding. It's just a huge task. And they are very dedicated to the preservation of the culturally modified trees. And in fact, they just this morning were out at the Pineries open space, also trying to finish up that site. At some point, we'll try to do more and more of these that allow us to kind of connect the different trails. But Bob Wells just gave you a compliment that you didn't know about. He was here 2 years ago when we did this hike. And just this hike this morning, he said, you know, that the fire mitigation that you're doing in here is being done the right way. It's a professional approach, and the evidence of that care, that stewardship, really comes out just in this hike in just the 2 years. So out of all of the Shiny Mountains, and we've been from northern New Mexico all the way to Wyoming, from the Great Plains here, all the way into Utah, we've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of culturally modified trees. Most of them are attributable to the Ute, we believe. But out of all of the Shiny Mountains, the Black Forest has just the richest concentration of all the Black Forest. Fox Run does, as you saw this morning. And so we're so privileged to have the dedication of the park people, the awareness, the understanding, and looking towards the future with how do we both protect the trees, but also share the richness that we have with the trees. So I wanted to thank them on behalf of all of the citizens that enjoy the parks day in and day out. thank you for joining us for lunch. With that, Mr. Wells, may I turn the podium over to you?
Yeah, you can. I gotta say one thing, more food over here for anybody who's hungry. Come in. Don't go hungry. Okay, I'm a retired Navy captain, so I can project. So I hope you can hear me. If you can't, please raise your hand every time I'm not getting loud enough, and I'll try to do that. I'm going to talk to you about what we've been doing across the nation. We're from Georgia, Jasper, Georgia, at the very end of the Southern Appalachian Mountain. Our mountain, nowhere near like your mountain. Diane and I live at 2,850 feet up, and think, boy, we're way up. But I mean, we're not just in the foothills. The Mountain Stewards, that my organization that we formed in 2003, is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation in Georgia. Now, there are many 501c3 organizations, all formed differently. And I don't want to criticize any of them, but I'll just tell you that when we formed Mountain Stewards, we were very concerned about cash. Because many organizations start and they run out of cash and they can't keep it going. So the Mountain Stewards is an all-volunteer organization. Nobody gets any pay, nobody gets any benefits. You bring your cash to the party and you participate. And we've been working now for 13 years.
Awesome.
We have two missions. One mission is local North Georgia, and that is building hiking trails and recreational facilities in the North Georgia area, primarily in 4 counties. And in the 10 years that we've been in operation, doing that since 2005, we've put $1 million in the ground. Now, that's $1 million of value, but it didn't cost us $1 million. As an example, right now, we're building a park on Mount Oglethorpe, one of the highest mountains in Pickens County where we live. It's owned privately. The people that owned it came to me and said, I want to build a park. I said, that's great, I can't help you, I'm a nonprofit. They turned it into a nonprofit organization, put the liability insurance on it, and we started about 3 years ago. We have built a park there worth probably $250,000, and it's totally cost us now about $40,000, $45,000 in cash. And we have built towers that you can see from. We just finished a big pavilion. We built hiking trails. We do stuff. Now, the way this works is we have in the Mountain Stewards a trail crew that is made up of 9 old men. There are no old women who want to work with us. The average age of our worker is 70 years. All retired. We work 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 o'clock in the morning until about 12, 1 o'clock. 40 weeks a year producing, going on for 10 years. And we have produced that $1 million worth of facilities. We build bridges, we build hiking trails, we build facilities. My background is civil engineering, so I do the design work, and then we go and collect the money, and people bring money to the table and we build. I can't get any of the guys on the crew to be a supervisor. I mean, I have people that are all kind of special jobs. I even had a doctor at one time. They all want me to be a supervisor. So I plan it out and we go and do. So that's part of our organization, and it's a neat thing because if we could duplicate this around the nation, clone it, we could have all kind of stuff available to the public basically for free because we raise the money. All of our money that comes in is all volunteer money. 90% of it goes out to do projects, and we keep about 10% to take the organization going. We have to pay the state, we got to do all these other things. We have our own truck, so we got to pay insurance on the truck and all that sort of stuff. But it's a way to do things. and get stuff accomplished in our world. And other places are starting to do this in the state of Florida. This is also being done down there. They have a group down there called the F Troop. And the F Troop is little organizations along the way, and they each take a piece of the trail and keep it going. So this is something that I know that we can pass on if you'd like to do any of that. But that's the organization that's been out there. Now, we started doing that because we wanted to build hiking trails because there weren't any in our neighborhood. And so we started hiking on all the lands, the public lands. And every day we see this curiously bent tree. And then the next day we see another one. And it looked identical to the one from yesterday. Well, Mother Nature doesn't do that. So we started digging into it and found out that these were marker trees, sometimes called yoke trees, signal trees. They got all kinds of different names. And we thought, okay, well, we're in Georgia. It's Cherokee territory, so it's only the Cherokees that did this. And then we found out, talking to people in other states, they said, oh, well, we got the same thing. So in 2000, we started in actually 2004 or 5 doing this. 2006, our technical guru for Mount Stewart, Dr. Mickey Nardo, interesting guy. He's a doctor of internal medicine, didn't like to do that, went off to be a psychologist, but he's the best programmer you've ever met. In 2006, he said, his friend Bob Wells over here from Atlanta, he said, I'm bringing Bob up to see these trees. Bob comes up, sees the trees, and said, oh my God, we've got to make a movie.